You didn't want it to it.
Hello, everyone. This is Divya. Hey, Palash, do you want to switch on?
Yeah. Hey guys. Good
And
morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on where are you from.
yes, I think we have a huge participation. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We'll just give a couple of minutes for Padma or Shivi. Otherwise, I think in another 2 or 3 minutes we can get started.
Hi, Divya. I'm here. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Um, I just realized I didn't put on the speaker, so I couldn't hear you guys, but now I do. The meeting is recorded. You're all good to start. You don't need to wait for
Okay,
me or Pema. Yep.
that's good. Thank you so
I
much.
think Pema
So,
might wanted to kick off. Let's see if she's. I saw her here. Pema, are you there? Do you want to kick off, or you're commuting? Anyway, Divya, I think we can start. Why don't you start?
sounds good. Thanks, Shivi. Palash, you can start.
Amazing. Welcome guys for this session on no-code prototyping. But the way we've structured this session is we'll quickly take you through first some of the basic concepts around no-code prototyping so that as a non-technical person, if anybody else is like me, we can get away with what are the basic terms we need to understand from the capability perspective so that things become easier going forward. And once we have gone through that, what Divya will then do is show you the first demo of how you can convert a screenshot into a prototype. We'll share across the links as well later. And if you want to try on hands-on with us, please do. And then I'll take over again and take you through a way where you can convert your PRD into a prototype. Now, both of these use cases, if you think about it, are very strong when it comes to stakeholder alignments. You've come up with an idea, you want to say, hey, team, here is something I like in a different app and I want to build on top of it. So, from a competition perspective, to keep a track, or if you have something very small concept note and you want to show a very visual prototype of it, you can do it through this approach very quickly. So without any delay, let me sort of enter into it. I'll share my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. Cool. So no code prototyping. Just to introduce, Divya is my co-host. She has 10 plus years of experience in product. And myself, Palash, I have 10 plus years experience in product strategy and finance. We'll be taking you through this session. And like I was saying, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a prototype I have seen personally and experienced in an organization like Dream 11, which is India's biggest fantasy sports platform, that a prototype does a job of 1,000 meeting. The different alignments you need to have between people, the scope locking. Okay, this is what you want to build, or even in terms of understanding whether the feature or the product you are building is complete in terms of its UX, in terms of features that you want to offer to user, whether it is solving the problem or not, helps a lot. Uh, but before you can build any no-code platform, it's important to understand what are the different tools available and what are the different categories of these tools, so that you know what is the capability and restrictions of different platforms. So broadly, you can divide the first thing is some basic software development terminologies, followed by these platforms, right? And sorry to cut you. Sorry, I think I jumped a slide. Yeah, so like I was saying, you can basically build no code on three different platforms. These three platforms are chatbots. Chatbots are nothing but like your chat GPT, where you can generate code, you can understand the code, but up until recently, it will not build out a front end for you. So you would take that from this particular chatbot and take it to some other local assistant or a code hoster where you would see how it looks. Now, ChatGPT, Claude, everybody provides that functionality, so you can do it within them as well. The second are cloud platforms. These are like full stack platforms like Bolt, Lovable, which we'll look at today, which helps you run the complete app end to end using no code. And then there is third, which is local assistant. These are extension arms of your team. Think of as like AI powered assistant like Windsurf or Cursor, where you have a bit of coding experience and you want to work as a collaborator with AI in terms of what code you are writing and not just give it prompts, hey, build this for me. So local assistant comes into those domain where you can host those on your local platform as well, your own computer as well. Cloud platform, you start with hosting on their own domain and then you can transfer that code from there to your local domain as well. For the purpose of this meeting, we will focus on cloud platform and specifically Bolt and Lovable as the two tools to look at. But before we go on, there are 3 or 4 software terms that we all should understand, very basic, so that life becomes easy when you start building those no-code builders for yourself. The first term is a front end or a client side, which you will often hear from different people as well. A client or a front end is nothing but what you interact on the screen. So whatever you're seeing over here or the buttons you press is basically your front end taking your input and taking forward. It's often built in languages like JavaScript. When you're coding with a no-code tool, you don't necessarily need to know the language of that tool, but it is sometimes useful if in a particular organization you know what your organization follows as a general coding language in front end and back end, so that later if you want to merge your prototype with something bigger in the org, it's easier and you don't have to change the coding instructions again after that. So you can give that as an input to Lovable or Bolt at the start. What tech stack do you want them to follow? And if you don't give anything, then they have their default that they can continue to follow. The second is the database. Database is nothing but where this data from this front end and back end is stored, right? And it powers the app through whatever data requirement is there. Let's say, for example, you're logging in. Your front end will say, hey, Palash Somani logging in with this email and password. The backend takes that request to your database to verify whether this account exists or not, and then passes back to the front end saying, hey, let him pass through, and front end will show you the homepage of the particular app you are trying to log in. The third term I use right now was backend, which is the logic, which takes this from front end to backend to serve you the right data. Think of it as front end being the waiter who takes the order in a particular restaurant, and backend being the chef who is processing your request through logic and through databases, right? So backend is the app's brain, which helps it function. With this, you have a fair bit of understanding about how to deal with these tools as you go along and build a more full stack application. For today's session, we will focus more on functional front-end prototypes, and eventually, hopefully, we'll do more sessions where we can take you through how you can set up a backend authentication and other things as well. Lastly, there are 4 main tools right now available in market where you can do no-code prototyping. There are more coming through. Gemini 2.45 has been the recent addition and very powerful as well. But the key ones right now are, one is V01 by Vercel. Vercel in itself provide a lot of more beautiful UI components. So this tool in particular is really good if you're trying to explore an idea which is very heavy on UI, because the inbuilt library design wise is really powerful in V01. It can provide you full stack applications, which means you can have a front end and a back end, but your back end is a little limited in terms of what all customizations you can do. The second one is Bolt, which is really good for quick prototyping. Think of it this like, let's say, for example, you are you like, for example, I work in a gaming app. Now suddenly I see my competitor doing something really interesting. I can take a screenshot of my app, prototype it very quickly as a one pager, add the feature that my competition is doing in a way that makes sense for my audience, and can use it for stakeholder alignments. So if you're building a single page or a dual page features, you can do very quick prototyping on Bolt. It runs in browser, but the multi-user feature, like making multiple pages and everything, it takes a little bit of time or hand to getting used to it. So there's a limitation there. The third one is Replit. Replit is perfect if you're trying to build a SaaS platform or a data-heavy tool. It's full Python and supports JavaScript as well. The UI, however, is not that great. That's why for SaaS products and for data platforms, Replit is a great way to go ahead. But if you're building something much more user-facing and want a more beautiful-looking product, Replit cannot alone satisfy your requirement. And then lastly, Lovable, which is my recent favorite, more so because it is great in terms of UX for a non-coder. So if you're starting out, Lovable would be the product I would recommend to start with, because it helps you with that easy onboarding, helps you ease yourself in, so that you don't get very overwhelmed. But you can still build production-ready apps which you can integrate with GitHub or databases directly. You can't code directly in Lovable, but yes, you can take the code from Lovable to GitHub and make changes as you require as you build more complex applications. So with that small primer, we will go into looking at some of these things, how we build around. Primarily the first two use cases. So you can convert a screenshot into a prototype. You can write a concept note or a PRD and make that into a prototype as well. If you have a Figma design working with a designer, these apps also offer you very simple integration where you can convert the Figma design directly into app screens into code. And then lastly, if you just even want to draw a piece of paper, any simple UX wireframe, you can take that as a screenshot again and convert it into a prototype. So yeah, I would pass it on over to Divya to give you the first look of how you can do screenshot to prototype. Yeah, Divya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Palash. Thanks for the context. So everyone, I've just posted a link for Bolt as well as step-by-step guide if you want to follow along in this session. And let me quickly share my screen, and if you can confirm, that would be great. Palash, are we okay? Perfect.
Yeah.
So this is our Bolt interface. So before we go through, as Palash mentioned, it's one of the more easy to use tools. It's almost equivalent to a Lovable with few differences, but this is how it would look once you're logged into the tool. The box that you see is the prompt. The stars that you see is the enhanced prompt. So if you give a simple prompt and you want it to self-enhance, it also has that capability. If you go on the sidebar where you can see this is my sidebar, and I have few other things like settings, so in settings, I think there's an important feature, if you like this tool and you want to go ahead, you can definitely do settings of appearances, things, etc. But you get about 1 million tokens every month for free, which I think is great to build few projects to get started. And this 1 million gets, updated on a monthly basis. So that's a plus too. And then few other things are like in feature previews, as you can see, there is diffs and dynamic reasoning. This basically means it becomes more intelligent to make sure that it is only taking part of code that it needs to work on and not rewriting the code every time. So just knowing about these features and, putting this on kind of helps with less consumption of tokens. So just wanted to highlight that before we get started. And then today our prototype to our screenshot to prototype is what we're going with our beloved app, LinkedIn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do a prototyping of my feed where I get a lot of, content here, and I want some category filters which can kind of filter based on whether it's like a product management post or a AI post or some other post. So that's my end goal to do it for a site, which is LinkedIn, which is very familiar to all of us. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I have taken a screenshot of my feed and I'm going to go to Bolt. And if you're following along, all the prompts are actually listed here. So I'm going to also, Palash, if you could paste the prompt or happy to do
I'll do
that
that.
too. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pick up this prompt. This prompt just says that help me convert the screenshot, which is for LinkedIn feed, into a functional front-end prototype. And I want Bolt to make an exact copy. And that's why I'm mentioning it, just include the design, the font, the style, etc. And I'm asking it to make it as precise as possible because this is a feature enhancement and I want it to retain the original design layout, etc. So I'm going to copy this font. I'm going to copy this and then put it on my Bolt along with my screenshot. And then I will let Bolt do its magic. So basically what Bolt does is it would start creating, source code, which is basically some kind of components and considering whatever design style is for that particular website, it would start taking that up and, putting things in the folders as you can see here. So basically right now, because we told it to just work on the core feature and design element, that's the front end. It's just doing that for now. We have not talked anything about the back end so far. So while it is happening, what I would also like to show you is that this, as you can see in this screen, there is a code tab where you can see it is writing code and creating all the necessary files. And if you go to the preview tab, that's where the end goal of our step one is, where we would see a site very similar to LinkedIn published here, at least, as a preview here. So in the meanwhile, I wanted to check if you're following along, if you're able to log into Bolt and put in the prompt and take a screenshot of the LinkedIn image, that would actually get this process started. If you have any question, we are happy to answer. Okay, so while it is taking time, I can actually share a few more things. So right now in this screenshot to prototype, what we are doing is we are doing a 3-step process. We are replicating. So we are replicating the current LinkedIn site. We could do it for any site, anything you wish, Apple, Google, Amazon, anything. And then after it does its first output, what we are going to do is we are going to ask Bolt to reflect on what it created. Basically, reflection means it would let us know that how much similar or closer to it is to the actual output that we have asked it to. During reflection phase, there are options to actually include any suggestions that Bolt has given that, maybe I'm missing this part of the component or this left nav or something, and it gives suggestions and it's on your discretion to then add it or not. And then the last step is the enhancement where we would actually add the filter and create a functional prototype where we could see the output, as we wish. So let's go back and see if Bolt has done his work. Okay. Let's try again. In the meanwhile, I could also do one more thing. I had actually created a test project. I could show you that in the meanwhile while it's trying to create this one. So I actually created, one second, yeah. So I actually created this as a practice before our session. And basically what I did is I gave it the same prompt with the screenshot, and it actually gave me, oops, I think something's going on here.
I think it will create, if you just go back to that, it will create. It sometimes takes a second to reload the Tailwind CSS library. But now that you have fixed the error in the previous one, it will work through.
Okay, So I'm just gonna let it wait because I don't wanna exhaust my empty extra tokens, etc. But what I could do is I could let you know in the meanwhile what
Yeah.
we are
Yeah,
planning
I
to
think
expect.
it's ready, Divya, now. If you just show
It's
once,
ready?
it's
Okay.
ready. Go to preview. Yeah, yeah. And just refresh once.
Refresh.
Yeah,
Okay. I think I'm
yeah,
facing error still.
yeah. Just do the reload preview below the code button.
Yeah.
Yeah, and give it a second.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so what it has done is that it has created the first step, which is replicating the website. So as you can see, it has done a pretty great job. So if we go back and look at my profile, at least in the main components, which is like a left nav, the post, the feed, the LinkedIn news, and the top nav. Most of it has covered. But what I'm going to do is because, as I said, we need it's a good practice to actually ask your no code tool to always reflect, so it can give back and also reflect on what worked, what did not work, and give some suggestions. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a prompt to reflect, though it is not necessary, but I think it's a good practice to do that.
I think I've copied the previous prompt only. You'll have to take the second one.
Mm. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Pralash. Yeah.
I'll paste in the thread as well if people want to follow
Yes.
along.
So
So
this
while
is
Divya is doing this, just a context on this, guys. Reflection prompting is a technique where, let's say, for example, think of it ourselves, right? When we are preparing for any big exam or anything, once we have prepared, we always look back and say, have I completed this topic or not? What is left so that I can prepare for that, right? So reflection works like that. You're telling AI that, hey, my instructions was you to create the screenshot. This is what you have created right now. Can you look the two things together and tell me where are the differences? So that the differences you can fix later. So that's called reflection.
okay. So I think it has done a reflection here, and it is telling me that, there are certain areas that it has kind of missed, and if I would like to update it or not. So basically let me do yes, and then it would update this one. And then we'll do the last step, which is actually doing the enhancement of adding filters to our current LinkedIn feed. So just wanted to do a check if folks are able to actually follow along and do a hands-on. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask or ping as Bolt is operating.
Yeah, I think people are giving some thoughts in the chat, so just replying to that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we just while that code is running, Shreyas was asking about reflect again. So just context again, guys. Think of it this way: these tools are just 2 years old, so in a way they are baby. So you have to treat them like baby steps. Like how to a baby will constantly reinforce. Hey, have you done this? Can you do this again? Have you followed it correctly? So reflection works like that. It's about relooking into what you have done to see whether it matches the original plan or not. So the original plan was to match the screenshot that Divya provided exactly with all those components. AI would have created the first output. At that point, you're telling them, hey, can you match the two and tell us where the delta is? And actually do not write any code. What that helps is it will not change any particular file or start implementing on its own. It will just mention, hey, here are the different things which are not implemented as per the screenshot. Do I have your permission now to implement it? These does two things. One, you will not waste token like how Divya was mentioning. You would save the tokens only to use it when you feel like hey, this is the right prompt, the right plan that the AI has made. And second, you can make modifications in the plan on the chat window by saying, hey, this is something right, this you can change or not change.
Correct. And I think also as we are learning AI, right, we get into this agentic realm, and it's always good to have, like, small bits of these code operating mechanisms, agents, or these custom GPTs or whatever we call. It's always good to have like somebody who's reviewing the activity which is produced by one of the code block, right? So for example, if Bolt is doing, you should always have like one more prompt or one more agent to review the work, because in the end it's all new technology first, and there are a lot of things like, there should be guardrails in place, there should be hallucinations taken care, so a lot of things that we still do not know about AI. So though these gives like the simpler things work well, but if you're doing like bigger projects, you should always implement these. Are just best practices. Thanks, Palash, for that. Now what I've done is that it has taken actually the delta, like whatever features were remaining, it has added to this screenshot. We are able to preview it. And as a last step, I think, which is very important for product folks or people who are trying to build startup, is like to show your idea working, right? So right now, what I want to do is, I'm so fed up. I want some filters here. How do I show that what I want? So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to write this new prompt. So Palash, if you could put the prompt, it's basically saying because it's like a partner for me. So I'm thanking it. So it knows my tone that it's good. And then I'm asking it to put a feed or like a post category on my feed. So that's what the prompt is about. And also as a reference, what I'm doing is I want to let it know that, the filter should come in between start the post and the feed. So I'm just going to add one more image. To be very frank, this is an optional step, but I prefer doing it just to make sure that it understands where I want things to be. So basically I have like I'll actually open and show you. So this is where I want my new feature to be built in. So that's why I'm just going to add the feed. Okay, so now it has the prompt and where it should go, and I'm just going to let Bolt do the next work. So a few of my assumptions here are, because I've asked it to maintain the design style, etc. I'm assuming that it will maintain the color tones and other things while we're doing enhancements, because it is important to have that. So we'll see what it outputs, but that's one of my assumptions. Okay. So I do see on the preview screen, it has actually added filter by category, though it's doing some work. But this is like exactly what I wanted. I wanted to categorize by filters. I hope it does like add some numbers so that I know like how many posts are in each category. And we'll look into it if it can do that. Okay, never mind. So let me refresh it one more time. Okay, perfect. Okay, so basically what we did is we asked it to explicitly put like, some categories here. So that's what it did. And this is fair enough to take up to like a design team or to your designer or folks to show like how things are actually working. Like, the feature that I wanted was categorization. So this was one like simple things. I think we took less than like about 10 minutes, though
Yeah,
it
and
gave
in
me a
fact,
few issues in the start to actually run through the
yeah,
entire screen to
yeah.
prototype. Yeah.
And I would add one more thing. If you see when Divya floated around through different tabs, the content below changed when we didn't even
Yeah.
input any particular content on our side, because the prompt Divya gave also said add dummy data right now to make it functional. So whenever you're only trying to do a prototyping for stakeholder alignments and very quick and dirty, don't want to create the whole app, you will always a functional front end where you can do some interactions is better than a dummy front end where you can't do anything. That's nothing but a simple Figma design otherwise. So you can always prompt AI by saying, hey, provide some dummy data to make so and so functionality, so and so feature functional in XYZ manner. That helps AI to say, okay, this is what you want to achieve, and it will add some dummy data for you to interact with.
True, true. That is very important. I do agree, Palash. Like adding this line in your prompt makes a huge difference. If you don't, it sometimes doesn't give the output that you're looking forward to. But this is what we call functional, right? You are clicking something and you're able to show folks that how things move around is what we wanted to actually do from the as an output from this exercise. Thank you so much, Palash. I'll give it back
Yeah.
screen back to you for the next
Divya,
demo.
Divya, if you can just keep it open for a second. So, Brandon, you asked,
Sure.
how do you share the preview with your designer? On the
Yep.
right, on the top, you see your option for deploy. So you can just click on that. It will create a public link, which you can share it with anybody for them to interact with the prototype with all the functionalities that you have built.
True. And one good thing about Bolt is just to add on to Palash is that it actually deploys it. It has a CIC, the CD pipeline already built, so it directly deploys to Netify, and it's free of charge. Again, it's all covered within the Bolt. It's free deployment, so it's really nice.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Thank you, Divya, for that. So, guys, that was very quick, like in 5, 7 minutes, even after explaining everything, Divya showed you how to convert any screenshot into a prototype, which you can do for a web app. You can also do it for a mobile app that you like, or you can make it responsive where between mobile and web it can flow. What we'll do now is we'll very quickly look at how you can take this a step forward, where now you have an idea, and on basis of that idea, you want to build something as a front end prototype, right? So how do you do that? Let's quickly look at it. Right, so there was a question, what if the dummy data is not relevant? You can always pass on the context that because the context window of the initial chat also is same, Bolt or the LLM behind will also understand what is the app you're trying to build, and it will provide dummy data relevant to that. If you still feel it is not relevant, you can provide example. It's always better if you give a particular example to any kind of LLM tool that, hey, this is the output I'm expecting, then your dummy data will also align to that particular set as well. Cool.
True.
Very quickly.
So,
Now what
Palash,
we'll
just wanted to add one more thing here. So, even for the dummy data, if you saw, we said that give categories such as AI product management, and it self-picked few other categories. So that's what Palash is referring. And the
yeah,
another step, if you want to go ahead, is to do the backend integration, which you can always do with Superbase, which is like a next step and actually build the full stack app.
yeah. Uh, cool. With that, now what we'll try is how do you take your idea and convert it into a prototype? And we'll try it on Lovable. Lovable is just another tool like Bolt. A couple of restrictions or features that I want to previously call out first is that Lovable on a free plan offers you 5 messages per day. 5 messages means you can type 5 different prompts over here, and then you have to wait for the next day, and it allows you to do 30 such messages in a month in which you would want to code. Now, while it is important to break down the steps, it is important how you can use these 5 messages also very carefully. So I will try to do a demo in a such a way where we can learn that part of the process as well. So what we created is a 3 prompt sheet which we'll share at the end as well. The first one is something that will help us create a PRD so that we can give that to Bolt. The second one would be how do we convert that PRD into a prompt that Lovable will understand? And then the third would be how do you make an enhancement on top of it in a way where you can save your tokens, save your messages, and in limited messages, you can do a little more things. Right. So I'll copy paste the first prompt that I have and I'll explain that in a second what it means over here. Right. So I said I'm a non-technical person and I have no prior coding experience, but I'm using Lovable AI and Supabase as my backend uh, to build a simple and user-friendly web app that helps set the context about me, about how much help I would need doing this. Then came my app idea. I said I want to build a personal finance app where user can input their income, expenses, saving goals, and spending habits. The app will categorize their expenses, show them visual breakdown, and suggest budgeting tips using AI. Now, this is still quite a few things that I want to add, not just a very simple, hey, I just want to add expenses or anything. My goal is to turn this idea into a real working product, even though I don't have technical skills, just to reinforce the first part. I want you to act as a friendly, supportive product manager and technical guide throughout this conversation. First, help me create a detailed product requirement document so I have full clarity on what we need to build, broken down into easy to understand sections. Please make the PRD as beginner friendly and structured as possible. Let's take it step by step so I can follow along and build confidently. Feel free to ask me any questions to help me create this MVP PRD at a 10 on 10 level, where 1 is bad and 10 is excellent. So this is the first prompt, which will not paste in Lovable, but however, will paste this in ChatGPT. You can try this with ChatGPT, Claude, or any of the LLM that you are regularly using to take help to build that particular PRD out. We'll paste the prompt and hit enter. So given the fact that at the end we have said, ask me any questions for you to do a 10 on 10 job on it, the expectation I have over here is that it will first ask me certain questions before drafting that PRD out. Yeah, so please confirm or update the following drafts. Product overview, product name, it has suggested something. There's a tagline, there is a problem statement, there is a solution. It has suggested a target user, platform, and it asked me, what would you like to name the app? Does the problem and solution above sounds right, or you want to edit? Who exactly are your early users are? What's the one key outcome you want them to achieve with your app? Once you confirm, we will move to the other steps. So for the interest of time, what I'm going to say is, hey, the above answers are correct and you can proceed for the PRD. But otherwise, you can customize it using this prompt as well so that you can reach to an output where you feel it is ready for you to move to the development stage. The above answers are correct. Please proceed. Right. So it is broken down core feature for us. There's going to be an income and expense input. Note for the builder, there is an auto categorization. There is a dashboard, a monthly overview, a saving goal, AI budget tips, a user profile, data security. Right. So at this point, you need to now confirm whether these features is something that you want in your MVP or not. Given we are only focusing on front end, I will for now say to let go of the bottom two features, which requires more of database and backend setup. Exclude backend and database features. So no base, auth, or login, etc. in MVP. Focus only on front-end features. Right. So at this point, it will update your final PRD. And it will clearly call out what you're not building yet. It's important to also tell AI that it will happen in future, but you're not doing it currently so that it understands the scope. In a normal parlay, what happens in your regular product development life cycle is your engineers and everybody would want to know what far ahead are you thinking in terms of scope, which might come later, because certain features might dictate how the architecture is designed. So it's good to call out which features is something that you plan to do it in future phases, which you don't plan to do at all. That way, AI can also take appropriate decisions accordingly. To confirm the list, amazing, and it is already asking me want me to write prompt example for Lovable AI for this. But before that, I'll say this is good. Also do a user flow front end only for my MVP. That will sort of complete our sectioning about what all features we want, and in a general sense, how do we want that user flow to be structured. While this is building, we will copy our second prompt now and convert this particular PRD that we have created into a prompt that Lovable can understand easily. And I'll walk you through that prompt again first over here. Right, so now convert this PRD into a detailed prompt for Lovable. It's a no-code app builder with the following template. This is an example. Create a similar one for our app. I'll mention. So what I've done is this below prompt I have copied from Lovable's website only. They have provided a dummy section where you can they teach how you can prompt around. So the first section is that my current tech stack is TypeScript, React, Chatsi UI components, and Tailwind CSS. I need a task management application with the following tech stack. My core features are these. Please provide dummy data for now and ensure that design is clean and responsive. And I've just called out in this prompt also mentioned that the AI powered features will leverage OpenAI's API. So that again, it knows that right now when we set up our backend, we will be providing a OpenAI API as well so that it can do the integration directly with. I'll copy this and I'll go back to where we have created this user flow and I'll paste it. So my personal finance app PRD will now get converted into something which I can directly input to Lovable in a structure example that I have given previously. So it is clearly calling out backend and auth are not required at this stage. Over time, what you will realize is the real game here is more around how you prompt better. And you should always use a secondary AI tool, could be ChatGPT, could be Claude, to help you perfect that prompt that you want to paste. Right, other screen to build, set saving goals. I think it is following. Monthly overview page, AI integration. Wherever AI solutions are shown, simulate results using OpenAI API prompt or mock output. So until we provide OpenAI API, it will just do mock data over here. Perfect. So this is ready now for us to copy. So I'll just take this whole thing till here. And now this is the prompt I'm going to give to Lovable. And hit enter. So this is the setup that you come into once Lovable starts running the code. In the initial go, you don't see any code running over here. It just says, hey, I'm spinning this up. But if you switch it over here, you will start seeing once Lovable start writing any particular code. So all the files getting set up over here, you can see. I would recommend if you are delving deeper into no code prototyping, it's always good that you just copy the name of this file, go to ChatGPT or Claude and understand, hey, what does this file do in the whole development process, so that you know over time whatever changes you're asking any no code platform to make, in which file it is going to make changes, what is going to get impacted. That will help you build comfortability with no code tools also from a technical standpoint. From here, you can connect to Supabase, and we'll do a separate session on that maybe sometime. GitHub, where you can transfer your code from Lovable to your local environment. You can invite different people to collaborate on the same project with you. And like we did deploy in Bolt, here you can publish from here and make it available to others as well. Lovable will also mention over here which file it is making changes. So if you click on it, you can directly open that file and see what different changes are getting made over here in real time.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, Jatin had a question. So we do have a session for custom GPT tomorrow, and we're going to do the prompting basics. We will share some links then. It so true, to talk to any LLM, you actually need to learn the language which is prompting, right? That's the new coding.
Yeah. So it will take a bit. Once this is run, your message count will update over here as 1 to 5. That means 1 has already gone through and you can only type 4 more times today. Anything you do, be it fixing an error or just asking a simple question on reflection or anything else, is considered as an input and will count as a message. So it is making changes right now in the header file. You can see. It'll take a couple of minutes for it to run through, but then we should be able to see our first prototype. But feel free to ask questions to us until then. If you have anything, just put it in chat and Divya and I can help answer.
Yes. Yeah, and I'll share the link. John, just give me a sec. I'll try to pull the link. Usually, Padma had posted one which had all the links. I'll just try to post that chart so you benefit the best.
Yeah. And as you can see, each file name is to a particular feature, add transaction, saving goals. So later on, you can refer to those file and go and make specific changes also if you want, if you start understanding these basic coding terms as well and how code has been written. Over time, you'll get comfortable in saying, hey, in this particular file, go make changes over here about only these many codes.
Yes, we are doing free version. I think that's where, if folks join and if it's a paid version, I think it doesn't make sense because paid allows a lot of things. So that's why we are trying to use the partner, which is like any LLM tool, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., to make the prompts best and then fit into these tools based on the credits that get expired. So everything done here is using free tools.
So from an exploration standpoint, once you're still learning in that phase, you can get hands-on with free tools as well. But once you have learned it and you really want to build something, at that point, to build it in one continuity and you don't want to wait for every 5 messages every day, you can choose which platforms you are more comfortable with amongst any of the ones we have mentioned or anything else, and sort of choose to take a paid plan of that particular platform accordingly. But for just to get hands-on, I think enough credits around Bolt, Lovable, everything that you can practice on free plans as well. Okay. Yeah, I think it's making a lot of changes.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, Palash, we can take Smriti's question. She's asking, how did you prompt it to explain the code? Where is the explanation coming? Are you talking about the side where it's kind of writing what it designed, the first version, etc., Smriti?
I mean, I may have missed this, I'm sorry, but the question is, I think Palash mentioned that you can always ask it to explain the code, what goes in which file. So I was wondering,
Right.
how did you prompt that and where do you see it?
Yeah, so just to save messages, I would recommend not to do it over here.
Okay.
Excuse me, making changes into edit. Okay, something happened.
Okay,
Like,
Smriti. So I think what he was trying to say is that so if you are a if you have a paid tool version, it's very easy to learn with the tool. So when the tool is doing certain things like creating source file, creating front end, back end, JSON, etc., you can always ask like, why did you do that and things like that. It would actually start explaining you because in the back it's a LLM that would explain the reasoning why it is doing things that it is doing. So it will always do that. But what you could also do is if it's a non-paid version, you would exhaust your prompts if you try to understand, but you could take some parts of it and go to like a normal like the OpenAI or some other
Right.
LLM and just ask that how does this tool create a simple
yeah,
app and just try
yeah.
to help me understand how should I go. So it will also help you explain to the T. I do not know, but it would definitely get you started in the right direction.
Right. And if you
For
want to like
example,
put
as
that,
simple as that
yeah,
writing what yeah, sorry, it's as simple as writing, hey, what does index.html file do? So it will help you understand what it means, that it is an entry point when you're trying to build any web application on website,
right.
those kind of things. So helps you get a feel for it. Yeah.
And then can you, do you keep this code in your local as well, or is it all browser based for
No,
Lovable?
you can transfer the code to your local as well. So here's an option where you can sync this project with your
Okay.
GitHub setup, and you
GitHub.
can take the entire code from here to GitHub. So once
Cool.
you start building more complex app with Lovable, you would realize that after a point you might need Lovable as well as, let's say, a Venture for a cursor to work together to sort of
Hmm.
build more complex features. At that point, you would take your initial setup from Lovable to GitHub, connect your GitHub to a cursor or a Venture, and then
Yeah.
sort of work back and forth over there.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. So it has rendered a prototype, and as you can see, it has created every single thing that we wanted. There's a total income section, total expense, current balance. taken the color coding accordingly. I can add a new income or expense over here. So let's say an amount of 10,000. Okay, for some reason it is not letting me edit. Okay, let me see. Income. Okay. Okay, so this is the panel you would want to fix. Let's hold on. Set saving goals. So I would say trip to Bali, my favorite one. And my current saving is 31,000. My target goal is this and save. Now, ideally, this should show up over here. It is showing yes. So I can see a trip to Bali where this is done. I can edit the goal and say my current saving is now 50,000 and it auto updates over there. Right. And there's this dashboard view, and then you can have a monthly view to show what your different expenses was in a month, and right, all with one single prompt that we built around the MVP feature. Now, let's say, for example, you want to change something in this. That would be the next step, right? Uh, I would skip the backend and API integration part, but let's assume you would want to change a particular few things over here. One, let's call out, I don't like the color theme. I want to make it dark mode. The second, this particular functionality was not working for me. So I'll try to fix it. Let's see if that works because I'm not able to add anything over here currently. So what I've done over here is there is this third prompt that I would follow, which is I'll again go to my ChatGPT window and say, hey, Lovable has, give me a follow-up prompt to add below functionalities in Lovable. It has built my first prototype. Keep the prompt structure same as the previous prompt. We don't need to repeat the details from previous prompt. This sort of helps avoid unnecessary details as well. And I'll say uh, change UI to dark mode. And second, when I open the add income slash expense panel, I'm not able to edit slash input any data. So let's see what it does. So ideally, I would recommend to do UI enhancement at the end once you're done with the thing, or set it up at the start. Don't do it midway because you might run into certain problems that eventually leads to consuming more messages for Lovable to fix it. So first I will do the second thing, and then maybe we can just copy the first one as well to see whether that works. But given there are 5 messages only, I want to show you first something more from an enhancement perspective. I'll do this. I'll do this. So if you just take a step back and you realize the most important thing over here I did was I made a plan about what I'm trying to build, what all things I need in that MVP app or a web page that I'm trying to build, making those changes accordingly so that to Lovable once I've reached with a particular plan. I'm not just coming over here and randomly writing a prompt to make different things for me. There is a set structure which I wanted to follow. There are details which are in the structure that Lovable understands more clearly basis what they have also mentioned on their platform. So it's always good habit or a definite important thing that you should do, that always make a plan using LLM or through your own understanding of what you're trying to build, and then come to any no-code platform tool to sort of build it. The second thing which we learned when Divya was showing, that always try to see if you can do reflection prompting wherever you are not able to understand the delta between the things, and especially calling it to not to code so that no changes are made, but you still understand what all things it is doing. Right, so now all forms fields should be fully interactive, allowing users to input transaction. Let's see if it has actually done it. I'll just refresh for a second and I'll try to use this now. So, okay, that's still not working. Can I change something else? Okay, I will give it a screenshot now and say, let me paste it over here. Okay, for some reason, This panel is still not working and letting me make changes. Uh, Please review the code and make necessary changes so that I can log income. And as I say, make a plan first. Do not code. So rather than brute forcing it every single time, hey, this is something not working, fix it, fix it, fix it. I'm just trying to take a step back first and understand what has gone wrong and asking it to make a plan first without writing any particular code. Sometimes it helps in the direction where we don't understand really what this no-code platform is working behind us, and we'll always try to go with the easiest route, which is, hey, fix this error for me, or this is not working, please fix it. But it's good after a couple of times to take a step back and sort of say, hey, this is something not working. Can you make a plan of what we can do over here? Do not code anything. And once you understand the plan, that why it was happening, you can guide it better to fix it. So event handler may not be properly connected, form state management issues, model overlay blocking input. So likely the model overlay blocking issue could be the one. My plan to fix these issues would be, without directly modifying the code here, there are areas I would focus on to resolve the issue with the transaction form input not accepting any. Yes, please go ahead. And hopefully it should work. Right, and as you can see, I've already consumed 3 messages out of 5 in working with this, and this would be my 4th message. I hope it fixes. That's what basically the overall thing was around how you can convert a screenshot to prototype or a PRD to prototype, and can figure out different ways where you can fix errors along with a no-code platform in either a way of reflection or making a plan by taking a step back, or using a third tool, any chat GPT or a Claude, to build out those prompts before bringing it to Bolt.
So Palash, on prompting, Jatin has a question. Would you like to take it?
Sure. Yeah, Jatin. I can't see the window. If you can just call out.
I'm also there's two Jatin actually. Are you talking about me, Divya, Jatin
Yeah, no
Burman?
worries. I can take up the question. Yeah. So there's a question which says that can we also let the use of chat mode versus direct prompt mode? It's a useful feature.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Plush. I think if you go to the levels, I normally use chat mod a lot to interact before do anything because it's very dangerous. You
Yes.
just go and say, do this thing, and then it will mess up all
Change
your thing.
everything. Yeah. They over time built this. I think this is the last 2-3 weeks where they've launched this particular feature about chat. Prior to that, I was hacking it by saying, "Hey, do not code, just talk to me," kind of philosophy. And at that time, also, it will not change any particular code. But yeah, with chat mode, you can also do the same way without writing "do not code."
I think if we can show it like on the prompt ways, a chat mod, great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Palash, would you like to share your screen and show? So I think I saw like
yeah.
light bulb.
I'll mention where it was. Yeah, one second, one second. Sorry, I realized I stopped sharing my screen.
Yeah, but that's very interesting because I think what we are doing right now with no code tool chat, the prompting is important. So I think it makes sense for the no code tool to actually embed prompting into the actual tool so that people are not going off the tool doing chatting and coming back. So I think it's a great feature idea for any no code tool to have like a chat built in where you can actually chat before you actually use the credits. Yeah, true.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Jatin, for
What
highlighting.
Jatin was mentioning was here, where you can just tick this on, it will convert to blue chat, and now whatever you chat will not be coded directly, and you can just work on that particular thing. Cool. I think this is still ongoing. I'll fix it later, but it gives you an idea about how to play around no-code tools in terms of fixing errors as well.
So, Palash, many folks are asking for the prompts. So, I would like to take this chance to say that we actually have a bonus, and we also have a newsletter which we just started, which is called the AI Curiosity. So, I'm posting a link here for our post where you could just go get the bonus, both the prompt guides, and if you would like to follow along, you can follow along our journey on the AI Curiosity. Thanks.
Yeah. And we'll open up for Q&A if anybody has anything else as well.
Raj, I think this is Jatin Burman. So about the prompt engineering chat, people were asking, like, is that will be covered in the next one?
Yeah, so in tomorrow's session, when we also show how to use Chat GPT, sorry, to create custom GPTs, we'll do a very brief 101 on how to go about prompting as well. And we'll also share a tool with you where you can convert any input that you give into advanced prompt so that you don't have to prep for it directly. The tool will do it for you for any kind of input that you want to give.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and one more question that is coming, so I'll quickly talk through it. So basically, if you want to expand your prototyping, there are few options. Two that I know of is that one is you can connect to GitHub and then talk and then update only necessary files and work through the code to create the entire thing if you're more technically comfortable. The other part is where you can to use the databases or the authentication layer that are provided by no code tools such as Supabase, which is very popular nowadays, and the authentication layer, and then within this no code tool you can actually create the entire flow, but that needs more time. Like as you saw, this session took about an hour, so that needs a little longer duration to run through the entire end-to-end flow.
Yeah, yeah. And Javed, how we are designing the prompt basically. So I'll give a sneak peek and feel free to join tomorrow's session. But basically, what Divya and I have created is something called as Just Ask Palash and Divya, basically, where you can input anything. And the custom GPT already has this context behind where it is a prompt engineer and it will convert anything for you from a basic message to a well-defined prompt for any particular platform. Like I can just, as a demo, I would just say ki I am making a presentation on Lovable no code tool. Help me with a prompt. Right, so I'll say just a second. I think it's the initial customary, but yeah. And it will ask you your details. What is the goal of your presentation? Are you doing an information pitch? It will basically understand your request and it will tailor its questions accordingly. And whatever answers you give, let's say in this case, I'll say assume for me and I'll say auto. Uh, and it will then convert that prompt about, hey, I just want to make a presentation on Lovable into something more optimized, where it will first set up a role that I'm a product marketing expert and presentation strategist. My objective is to create a compelling presentation on Lovable no code tool. Here is the step-by-step task process that you need to follow to do it. And here is the output format I'm looking for in terms of example and an instructions. Yeah, and then once you copy this particular thing, it is ready for you to build that thing out. So this is something we'll discuss more in detail tomorrow. And yeah, happy for you guys to join that session as well. Smriti will share the link in tomorrow's session. But we've also included all these things, which is the Bolt guide, which which Divya showed you, how to convert a Bolt screenshot into a prototype into a Bolt, how to, all these prompts that we have showed over, all of these are available in the Substack link that Divya shared. Divya, if you can just bump it up again once. You
Sure.
can download it from there. It is available right now for all of you guys to explore. And do let us know over there how did it go for you, and if you have any questions, we are happy to answer in that chat. Yeah, I think Shivi is raising her hand. Over to you, Shivi.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I asked Victor this question earlier. I don't know if it gets addressed. So you know how Lovable is more focused on front end development and the client side development. And then yes, we can like manually connect it with a Superbase, like a database. Do you find the coding capability also, does it write good backend code? I think it's what I'm trying to get at. Or do you sometimes use, say, ChatGPT o3 or a more advanced model and write the backend code and put it back into Lovable? Like, how do you think about if I want to develop an end-to-end application, not just the UI? Um, how do you build a server-side code with Lovable?
Yeah, yeah, no, very fair question, Shivi, and very important as well. So between Bolt and Lovable, I've seen Lovable doing a much better job in terms of handling the Supabase side of code them itself, rather than asking us to go to Supabase and do some changes. There are still two ways in Supabase. Also, it takes AI input directly. So if you're not able to do certain things by Lovable in Supabase as well, it can be done. But what I personally prefer is using ChatGPT. I have built out my for myself a no code builder as well, which gives me prompts step by step for building front end, back end, and everything. That prompt builder basically gives me the final output or the code snippet I want to give to Lovable in case of a complex setup. If I'm only doing authentication or connecting to OpenAI APIs or building basic user profiling and everything, Lovable handles it perfectly. But if you want to do more complex stuff where you're building more agentic workflows, Lovable cannot do that directly. So at that point, you require hands-on help with either something like a ChatGPT, or you would build a agentic flow in n8n and then connect that to Lovable and Superbase.
Got it. And Paresh, have you used tools like Replets that have more like backend built in as a native function? Like, how
Yeah.
would you compare that with using Lovable and connecting with a third-party database? Like, which one would be easier to use for building a backend, like an end-to-end product?
So Replit in that sense is very advanced compared to Lovable when it comes to backend customization